Hello and welcome to Happily Ever Reality. I am so glad that you're here. I'm sure you can already tell that the channel is looking a little more festive. It's not just because we are close to Christmas, but it is also because we are going to be looking at Christmas with the Brown family. We are going to go all the way back to season 2, episode 7, and if you can't recall what was going on around that time, that's okay. I'm going to give you a little refresher. Season 2 ran during the spring of 2011. The Browns were still living in Utah, but they were definitely at this point feeling pressure to move. Robin had already entered the family. She had married Cody during season 1, and Truly had also already been born. So this was possibly going to be their last Christmas in Utah. So that is where we are when we see Christmas during season 2. So let's go ahead and get started. The show starts out with the Brown family talking about getting away for Christmas, and they decide to head to a remote cabin, and it is so remote that they don't have any cell phone reception. The wives and Cody sit together and talk about the stress of getting away. You know, with that many people going up into a cabin, you are going to be packing a lot of stuff. But they are also stressed about a public statement that had been made by a prosecuting attorney there in Utah because, polygamy is illegal, and the Browns had came out and were very public. They were on TLC. They had already done one season of the show. So a local prosecuting attorney had made a statement about possibly prosecuting the family. So go ahead, listen to this. This is what Janelle has to say about it.
The county prosecutor is quoted.
This is the quote from Donna Kelly, Deputy County Attorney for Utah County. The Browns have definitely made it easier for us by admitting to felonies on national TV. You can expect a decision in the next 60 to 90 days.
It did scare everybody in our community.
To be honest with you, I have always wondered how real that storyline was. If there wasn't a quote from a prosecuting attorney, I would have probably just assumed it was all drummed up by TLC, the Browns, or both of them to create an interesting storyline to keep the show going. But there is a quote there, and I don't think TLC would have put in something that wasn't real. I think it is a real quote from a prosecuting attorney. I just don't know what was the probability of them actually being prosecuted. When I think of prosecuting polygamists, I think of like Warren Jeffs and underage girls and child neglect, those sort of things, and criminal behavior. I don't necessarily think of Cody Brown and his multiple adult consenting wives. To me, there is a major difference. So I wonder what the probability was of prosecution. We do know that Cody and the polygamous community, I think there's just a way of creating fear because they distrust people that aren't a part of the community. So I'm wondering if back then, years and years ago, if this was not something they all did, if this fear wasn't kind of created within their own family, but it wasn't really something that was going to happen. I don't know if that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think. Did you question this storyline during season 2? Because the family is feeling all of this pressure, Cody definitely feels like he needs to be the leader. We know Cody loves to use that word among a few other words like, well, I'm going to put them all in one sentence, guys. I prepared a sentence for this. He is the leader that gets loyalty and respect because he is the man of the household. Did you see what I did there? I used all of Cody's favorite words together in one sentence. And of course, his favorite words are the ones that annoy me the most. So go ahead and listen to Cody talk about being the leader.
There's a huge question about what to do. The responsibility falls usually on the leader, and fortunately I've got 4 other sets of shoulders to share it with.
So we hear it there, Cody is the leader, but he does say that he's going to share some of the burden with the wives. I feel like now, if you go into like season 16 and 17, he just acts like he's the leader and everyone must fall in line. So I'm really surprised to hear him even say he was going to share the burden with them. But as the show continues on, we see them start preparing for Christmas. Mary is hanging lights on the house. We see the kids exchange names for a gift exchange. And it's moments like this that the family seems functional. Cody actually seems happy. We know that there are already a lot of issues within the family, but at this point, they're still able to socialize together and appear to enjoy it. They end up shopping for a Christmas tree, and Mary and the Christmas tree salesman start flirting. Like, you guys, Mary is smiling so much. She is definitely flattered to have the attention, and it looks like she's having fun. Go ahead, look at Mary flirting with the Christmas tree salesman.
Mistletoe and the kissing ball.
And the kissing ball. I get extra kisses.
He was flirting right back with us.
I know.
So I guess he was sort of flirting with all of them, though I definitely got the feeling that Mary was getting most of the attention. I really wish we could go back in time and get his number for her, because we know what the future looks like with the catfishing scandal. I would have rather her ran off with a Christmas tree salesman who at least was a real person and made her smile. But it's not just that they're smiling at the Christmas tree salesman. They're actually smiling and laughing with each other at the Christmas tree market and during the confessional. And I think that is what used to make this show so enjoyable and interesting to watch. For most people, or I should say myself, I shouldn't assume for most people. For myself, it's almost unimaginable. I can't even think of what I would be like in a situation where other women were with my husband, married to him, taking time away from me and my children. You know, I'm not even a very jealous person, but I would definitely start to feel some jealousy there. And here they all are getting along and laughing with each other like they're good friends. Now, we know there were complicated situations and fractures in their relationship already, but when you watch them all together in the beginning, it seems like there was enough good times and there was enough positivity among them that it could sort of outweigh all the stress and complications. It actually looked like it would work. We know in the future that's not what happens, but it is interesting to go back and watch them back then. As the show continues, the wives keep preparing for Christmas, and we find out that each wife has their own tradition that they've brought with them to the family. And, you know, Robin's new, so she doesn't have one yet. She decides that this year she's going to make each one of the children a homemade ornament, and she hopes that as they get older, they'll be able to look back at that ornament and have special memories of Christmas with the family. They also talk about the other wives and what traditions they have. We find out that Christine and Janelle both have special breakfast traditions, and we also find out that Mary has a, in my opinion, rather complicated tradition that she started. She makes each one of the children homemade pajamas. Yes, guys, she sews them. They're handmade. It's at home sewing. I am not a sewer, so I think this is super impressive, specifically because of the number of people in the family. So listen, I'm going to put in a little clip of Mary talking about it.
Well, every year for Christmas, I make the kids all pajamas and gift them on Christmas Eve. And so I've got most of them done, but I need to finish up the rest of them. So I'm going to sew some pajamas.
So just when you think this episode is going to be a bunch of Christmas fluff, we get a glimpse into the drama. Mary goes into her room to sew when she looks out the window and sees that a cop car is pulling into her driveway. She said she was afraid and began shaking because she didn't know what to expect. According to what they're saying during this episode, they are afraid that they're going to be arrested and separated. So Mary is really afraid to see this cop car pull in her driveway, but then it pulls out. So she decides to walk down to her mailbox, and when she gets down there, she looks down the road and she sees that the cop car had only came into her driveway to turn around and go back and help someone who ran off the road and into a ditch. So you start to see that they are really afraid, and they're starting to be very paranoid that at any time the cops are going to show up. So Cody and the wives are together for a confessional talking about this whole situation, and they talk about Christine's family's history with polygamy. If you don't know already, Christine comes from a very well-known family within the polygamous community. Christine's dad was raised in a family that got arrested and separated. Her grandfather and his wives were put in jail. So the Browns start talking about how they don't want this for their family, and you can tell they're really afraid that they would all be separated from each other.
There's no way any of us want that life for our kids or for each other.
And that is that when they prosecute a family for polygamy, they break up the family.
From this very serious confessional, we move over to seeing the family pack for their trip to the cabin. Of course, packing for a family this large is taking a long time. They're not just packing clothes, they're also packing winter gear so they can go out in the snow. They're not just packing regular amount of food, they're also packing an entire Christmas dinner and Christmas gifts. And I was really surprised to hear them say they were going to pack that Christmas tree. Remember, they went and got a Christmas tree. I don't know. I just assumed it was like a decoration for December, and then they were going to go to the cabin, and I don't know if they were going to bring a tree. It'd be like a small tree, a little one that you could like set on a table. But no, they actually bring that Christmas tree they buy. I don't know. That's not something I would ever do. Is that something you guys do if you go away for a holiday? Do you bring your decorations with you? I was just really surprised because that also means they have to bring like a tub of all the Christmas decorations for the tree. So I was really surprised that they were packing that up. As they continue to pack, you can see that they're getting stressed, and Christine and Cody are kind of not getting along very well. And eventually Cody does snap at Christine. He says, "I don't like you right now." She says that she's not going to take it personally, but there's just the feeling that the tension is really high and they're not moving at the pace they want to and leaving the house when they want to. But you guys, that wasn't funny. It wasn't funny watching them get stressed out. But during this time in the show, we get this gem from Robin. It's probably one of my favorite lines that I've heard in a long time, because we've been hearing words like leader, man of the household, loyalty, and respect in season 16 and in season 17. But listen to what Robin says back then, back in season 2.
He's like the captain of the ship, you know, and a captain of a ship never gets to say, "There's a storm coming, we're all gonna die." They always have to be strong.
So we can now add captain to the list of titles that Cody has. Leader, man of the household, ship captain. And it's absolutely ridiculous and hilarious to me. Like, come on, Robin. How'd you come up with that? Like, I feel embarrassed for you. But I also could picture Cody calling himself a ship captain, so, you know, it is what it is. However, I will tell you guys this, I don't know any ship captains, but if I was on a ship and Cody Brown was the captain, I would be trying to get back on land as soon as possible. So we move from this confessional back to watching the family pack for the trip, and we find out that they're actually running hours behind, but they are getting closer to going. They're loading things up into the vehicle and kind of doing the finishing stuff. But we find out that this is an issue because if they left earlier, they would be more likely to arrive when it was still daylight. But now they're hours behind, and they're probably, at least possibly, going to arrive when it is dark. And here's the issue, guys. They're loading up all of these vehicles, but only one of them can actually make it up the steep drive to the cabin. So they're going to be parking lower and shuttling back and forth in this one SUV that can make the trip. So, you know, this is going to be stressful if it's in the dark. And here's the thing, guys. I have probably been a little bit spoiled because I have a small family. So I've never had to do super stressful things like this where, you know, you're packing for a ton of people or you're trying to figure out how to get a whole lot of people to one place in one vehicle. Like, I've never had an experience like this. It looks so stressful. There's a part of me that just would not even want to do it. And I can't help but wonder, like, a part of me thinks maybe they should have found somewhere that wasn't up so high, or maybe would have had an easier drive for them. You know, we just talked about Cody being a captain. I think he should have thought this through just a little bit more because they're only going to be there for 4 days. You know, this is a lot of work for like just a small, long weekend. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Have you done anything like this where you have to pack for this many people? We do see them pack up that real tree, and Christine is really adamant that it needs to be a real tree because she thinks if it's a fake tree, it's going to take away from the whole cabin experience. But they get everything loaded, and it's finally time to go. So they arrive there, they park at the bottom, they start shuttling people back and forth. And eventually, it's clear it's going to take a long time. It is dark, and they end up getting snowmobiles to use while they're there. Everyone settles in, and it's at that point that they decide to decorate the Christmas tree. So they've loaded up, they've drove there, parked, shuttled back and forth, got some snowmobiles. Now they're decorating the tree. And honestly, guys, the kids seem to really, really enjoy it. During the confessionals, they continue to talk, though, about the potential prosecution. Cody is very emotional, and they end this episode by letting us know that they have decided to move. So we've watched all this Christmas prep, we've seen them get to the cabin, and now they're letting us know that they're moving out of Utah.
When a family's investigated or prosecuted for polygamy, they break up the family. And so we have decided that we're going to move out of the state.
So that is where this episode ends. They let the viewers know they are moving out of Utah. We also find out at this point they have already told the 4 oldest kids. So the kids know that this is probably their last Christmas in Utah. So we are going to go on to the next episode. Christmas is spread out between episode 7 and episode 8 during season 2. So we're going to go ahead and start episode 8. So the show starts out, this new episode starts out where the last one left off, and we are back at the cabin. However, they do remind us at the beginning of this episode during some confessionals that they are planning on moving because of the prosecution issue. They are worried that their family will be split up. They also show a confessional with the older children who already know about the move, and it is clear these kids are not happy. Madison says, they can't make her go, which is kind of the line you expect a teenager to say if they're unhappy, and it's completely reasonable. She's not wanting to move away from her friends. Logan also talks about how he feels like it's all going to happen too quickly, and he's not going to get to say the goodbyes that he wants to and kind of finish things up the way that he would like to. So these kids aren't happy about the move. But they do also talk about the possibility that their family would be split up. I just think it's sad that they even have to worry about that and think about that and move away from their friends over it. But that is where this family is at this point. It goes back to the cabin from there. So we see the kids at the cabin, and next to it is this perfect place for sledding. I think it is the driveway because it looks like the snow is cleared, but it's still there's snow there, but it's like packed down. So I'm guessing it is the driveway, and the kids are able to come down it because it's sloped downward. They can sled down it very quickly, and then they will sled into a snowdrift that is right next to the house. So they are having an excellent time. They actually go pretty fast. It's just nice to see the kids all having fun. Mary, Robin, and Cody, though, they're watching the kids and the kids are having a great time. They decide to go sledding as well. And Mary ends up sledding, kind of coming down pretty fast, hits the snowdrift, but then her body flies over the snowdrift and she lands up against the house, guys. I shouldn't laugh, but it is funny. I'm going to go ahead and put in a clip here.
Yeah, Mary!
She just hit the side of the house.
Uh-oh.
She isn't hurt, so I think it makes it sort of okay that I think it's funny. If she was hurt, I wouldn't laugh. But she is fine. Cody goes and helps her get from behind the snowdrift. So she is all right. And you know what? Look at her and Cody. They interact there. He helps her and they're sledding together. So, the future is far more bleak. So it's kind of fun to watch them together back then. As it always is with the Browns, we go from this fun moment to a confessional where they start talking about all of them cooking in the kitchen. And Robin says that she felt like when they were all in there, it was Mary and Christine's kitchen. And then Christine starts apologizing like crazy, and she tells she tells her that she should be more assertive so that she kind of has her place with all of them. So we start seeing the little cracks and the little issues. Even though it appeared that everything was going well, Robin says she doesn't feel like there's kind of a spot for her there and that it's Mary and Christine's place.
I felt like it was kind of Christine and Mary's kitchen, and I was like,
sorry.
no, it's not a bad thing. It was just, I actually probably should assert myself more.
It's times like this where you start to get a hint that there are problems between them. I'm going to be honest though, I don't understand why Robin decided to bring this up at this point. I can't decide if it's because she's encouraged by TLC or if she just knows that this is the sort of stuff that they can do on the show to keep viewers coming back. You know what I mean? If it all went well, this show wouldn't have made a good, long running show. It would have made a good documentary. But if they keep having little problems pop up here and there, that's going to keep a show going. So a part of me wonders if Robin just knew that she needed to do this sort of stuff to keep it interesting. I guess I'm being a little bit hard on Robin though, because Janelle also does bring up issues that she's had in the past with the other wives. But we know she's talking about Mary and Christine. You know, Robin's a new wife. So when Janelle talks about problems in the past, she's talking about problems with Mary and Christine. So she is bringing up the fact that she is not as domestic as Mary and Christine are. So she kind of stays out of cleaning and cooking. She doesn't feel like she does those things as well. And Christine is very nice. Christine is like, I don't feel that way. I don't think you're less domestic than us. But I mean, I think Janelle's being honest. I believe Janelle when she says she's not as good at those things as Mary and Christine are. But Christine tries to tell her that it's okay. However, listen to what Janelle says here. And I don't know. I just found it really interesting. Listen to what she says.
And then over the years, I would hear comments at the very first about lazy or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And so those are old tapes that are playing. So, you know,
What would make it better?
I don't know. I mean, nothing.
So when Janelle is talking about the past, she's not talking about Robin. She's talking about Christine and Mary. And I think she's specifically talking about Mary there. I don't think Christine was calling her lazy. But yeah, it's clear there's some negativity between Mary and Janelle. So we're getting a little bit of history there. You know, we're not seeing this on the show. She's talking about before the show aired. You know, in the future, we're going to know a lot about Mary and Janelle and how they haven't always gotten along. But this is still in season 2, so it's like you're still learning about them. So to me, this is like we're still getting hints and we're still starting to see the cracks, where in the future, we're going to know there's all sorts of issues. But here it's like you're learning a little bit, you know, more about the family. So we get the feeling that they haven't always gotten along. From this confessional, we move back to the cabin. It's Christmas Eve, and Mary gives everyone their pajamas, and they all put on a fashion show. Again, I'm not someone who sews, so I was just impressed that she made all of those pajamas. Christmas morning finally arrives, and this is where we see them exchanging all of their gifts. The kids have picked out their names before they got to the cabin, and so they're only giving one other sibling a gift, which makes sense for a family this size. But we do see that Robin gives Mary a special gift.
I loved the gift from Robin about sisters. To me, it was just kind of a sweet little thing between her and I.
So this gift is a little figurine. It's 2 women or 2 girls standing next to each other, and it's supposed to represent sisters. But Robin didn't give that to all of the sister wives. It appears that she just gave it to Mary. She says it's a special gift between the 2 of them. But my thing is, it sort of starts to create a divide. And we move on to a confessional where Christine comments that at different times, different wives are closer, and that it's sort of something that changes. So maybe that's how it was back then, but I feel like in the future there's not much change. We see in the future that Christine and Janelle are close, and then we see Robin and Mary are close. So I don't know, is this the beginning of that divide? You know, is this the beginning of it? But it's interesting because Cody can't just let it be. He has to make it about himself. So Christine says that wives are closer at different times, but listen to what Cody has to ask.
Have you ever had a time when you're closer to a sister wife than to me? I'm just curious.
No.
If anyone else had said that, I probably wouldn't think anything of it, but because it's Cody, I'm like, come on, do you always have to talk about yourself, Cody? Can you not just let them be? So yeah, he always brings it back to himself. But we turned from this topic back to talking about them moving, and Christine says that she bought McKelty a cell phone so that after the move, McKelty is still able to keep in touch with her friends in Utah. And you guys, it's weird because I did a rewatch of this not that long ago. I rewatched the first few seasons before season 17 started, and I didn't realize that this, you know, I knew history sort of repeated itself when it came to the move, but not so directly. It almost feels like they are having like the same conversations in season 2 that we see them having in like season 16. So listen to Cody as he talks to Christine about the move out of Utah. Now, before I put this clip in here, I want to be clear about the context and what is happening, just for fairness. I don't want to show this moment with Christine and Cody without telling you what happened before. Christine is explaining the gift of the cell phone to McKelty, but her actual language, the word she uses, is might. I bought her this cell phone because we might be moving. And this is how Cody responds.
Are you still confused on whether we're going to move or not?
Yep.
Okay.
She has a choice just like all of us.
I don't know how I missed that when I was rewatching it, but this time when I watched it, I was like, wow, it is the exact same feeling. You see that real sadness from Christine, and we're having the same sort of conversations go down between Cody and her. I do actually like that Robin points out that Christine has a choice. She has a choice. She might not move. And as much as Robin annoys the crap out of me most of the time, sometimes she can interject with something that needs to be said. So I was sort of glad she threw in there that Christine had a choice. But from there, we move back over to all the dumb conversation about Cody being a leader. I'm going to call him a captain, though, from here on out. Like, I can't. I don't know why. It's just so funny to me that they called him a captain. But they call him a leader. Gosh, it's so hard for me to do. Whatever. I'm going to throw in the clip of them talking about how they chose him to be the leader of the family.
You are the leader. I understand that. You know, we chose you to be the leader. I'm just having a really hard time with feeling like there's no possibility.
It's like the same conversation that we're going to see in season 16. There's just a part of me that wishes she had had the means and ability to stay in Utah. But I think at this point she was still, she was still very attached and felt like she was in love with Cody. There wasn't that sort of divide that we see them have in the future. So at this point, even though she doesn't want to leave Utah, she's not going to leave her husband. But yeah, there's a part of me that wishes that she could have just stayed there, because I think Christine held on to this sadness. Even though she makes the best out of things, I think she just wanted to be near her family and wanted to be in Utah. And I don't think that feeling ever really left her. So before I move on from this, I do want to make a point of mentioning that I don't necessarily think anyone in this family is happy about moving. It seems to me that everyone is sort of upset about it, but I feel like everyone else is a little less emotional, so it becomes easy to focus on Christine. What bothers me, though, and what I don't think they address enough, or at least they don't in this episode, is that Christine is the one that has the most experience with this. She mentioned earlier that her grandfather had been arrested and he had been separated from his wives and his children. So Christine and her family have the most experience with this. I want to know what they think. Did they think that, Christine and Cody and all of them should have left the state? Don't they all still live in Utah? So her family still lives in Utah and in that area, even though this happened to them? I bet if that's true, Christine's like, why are we leaving? I'm sure that played a role in Christine not wanting to move if she knows her family stayed there. So there's just a part of me that thinks I need a little bit more explanation. I want to know more about the thinking and how it relates to Christine's family. They seem to be using it as an excuse to move, but there's a part of me that's like, if her family's there, shouldn't this support them, like, holding on and staying there and seeing it through, because maybe it's all going to turn out okay? What do you guys think? What do you think would happen if they stayed? Do you think they're overreacting? What do you think about Christine's family still being in the area? Let me know in the comments. So we are about at the end of the Christmas episodes, which were 7 and 8 of season 2, and it ends with the older children talking about how they don't want to move. So they have a confessional with the teenagers, and it becomes very clear that they're all struggling with the move, but one of them is struggling a lot more, and that is Hunter. He does not want to move, and he begins to become very emotional and starts crying a lot. And that is where they end the show. We see Hunter in tears talking about how he doesn't want to move. So we've had highs and we've had some lows during these 2 episodes, but I just thought it was nice to go back and look at Christmas with the Browns. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you haven't already, be sure to click like and subscribe and come back for more reality TV show talk here at Happily Ever Reality.